Hello, everybody. Welcome to the SoxProspects.com podcast, the web's number one source for information on the Boston Red Sox from top to bottom, from Fort Myers to Worcester, across the Pike to Fenway, and all stops in between. Thank you for listening. My name is Chris Hatfield. I'm the executive editor of Sox Prospects, and I'm joined, as always, by our director of scouting, joining me on an emergency draft night pod, in which I do not have time to think of a joke to put in here, Ian Kundle. Ian, we are through two of the first three picks of this draft. It is almost midnight. I am strongly considering just packing it in before pick 79, honestly. But we got to get this podcast done. We're going to at least talk about the Red Sox first two picks tonight. And depending on how long this goes, maybe pick three. People will have to wait and see for the end of this. But the Red Sox in the first round tonight picked they will, let's put it this way. With both of their picks, they picked California high school shortstops, which makes a nice trend. Easy. Yeah. The first pick.
It's funny. I made this joke to someone yesterday, and I think I made it to you earlier. I was like, I should have just predicted just whoever the top ranked high school shortstop from California is who I should put down for their first pick. And
do we even know that that's what they did?
What?
That they went with the highest ranked.
Let's see if one went ahead of
California shortstop.
I'll look at the first round right now and tell you.
So, just look at California players is probably the way to do it.
There's a college kid, but a high school kid.
Well, let's actually say who the players are. With pick 24, the Red Sox selected Mikey Romero out of Orange Lutheran High School. That's in Southern California. He's like Garrett Cole. It's a baseball powerhouse. It is Cole Wynn. And it's a bunch of guys. There was one more that was recent. Anyway, left-handed hitting shortstop.
Committed to LSU.
Decommitted from Arizona when Jay Johnson got the LSU job.
Yeah, that was.
And
that's a move where he took all of their recruits and all of their active players. Like Jacob Berry, one of the early picks, was at Arizona and just left to go to LSU when the coach left.
Right. And then in the second round with pick 41, with the pick that the Red Sox got for not signing Judd Fabian, the Red Sox took Cutter Coffey out of Liberty High School, which is in NorCal near San Francisco. Right-handed hitting shortstop. Two very different players, though. And I guess let's start there, Ian. I think the TLDR version is Romero is hit over power, may be able to stick it short, but might move to second. Coffey is power over hit, probably moves to third. Was also 94 off the mound and could fall back on pitching, but he's definitely a hitter full time. I guess let's start with Romero with the 24th pick, which let's wait to say what we think about.
Yeah,
we'll just talk about the scouting report.
Yeah, as you said, Romero, he's a hit over power guy. He's not the most physical. He's listed at 6 foot, I think 175.
6'1", 175 on the draft tracker.
Oh, is it? Is it 6'1"? One of the other places I'm 5'11".
Well, it's probably somewhere in between.
Yeah. Well, I think this might go off the combine numbers though. So
true.
But yeah, true. He's listed so anywhere from 6 foot, 6'1", 175. It's a really nice swing. I watched some video. Was able to text a few people, and it's late though. So didn't get as many responses as I was hoping. But it's a really nice swing, pretty short stride, just a lot of bat speed, it's usually a lot of hands in his swing. It's a pretty handsy swing, but he's got really good bat control. Bat speed and good pitcher recognition. And he was seen as one of the more advanced high school hitters in the class. And he just strikes me profile wise as pretty similar to Nick York in that regard. Really good feel at the plate, good approach, can hit. Makes a lot of contact and power, kind of split opinions on that. He definitely needs to add strength. It's pretty wiry frame. And his swing is more like line drive than over the fence power. But, maybe he can get to fringe average game power. And then, as you said, the speed is kind of fringy, average arm. Defense, some think he can stay at short, some think he is going to have to end up at second base. But it's good hands, instincts are good, moves pretty well. I think that the things that are limiting him is potentially being an everyday shortstop are the lack of arm strength and the lack of range.
Right.
But he seems like, a potential bat first middle infielder, just questions about where he ends up. But if he hits, it's one of those things you'll figure out a position, kind of like what we said with Nick York, that if the hit tool develops like the Red Sox clearly think it is for them to take him in the first round, then they'll make it work somewhere. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's an intriguing skill set there.
I just really quick just on Romero. I don't want to. This is not a comp at all. I get York vibes from him to some degree. It's a different player defensively. York, it was like he's moving to second.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
York,
it was everything.
York didn't even. I don't think he even played shortstop, or maybe he did in the
not
FCL
for the Red
for a
Sox.
game or something.
Yeah,
but
not for the Red Sox. He immediately moved to second upon signing.
Yeah.
Romero just, I mean, there are like interviews with him online. There's a ton of video. So I'm not even comping the swing, but like hearing him talk in these interviews, he's very confident. I'm sure we're going to hear Paul Taboni when he does his media availability talk about like the makeup and what a great kid he is. And he's a leader. You get that vibe from him.
He also comes from like a really it's a very athletic family. Both of his sisters, Sierra and Sydney, were star softball players. One for Sierra went to Michigan, Sydney went to Oklahoma, and those are two of the obviously the powerhouse softball teams. And both of them were two of the better players in their times when they were in the NCAA. They both play professionally now. And he obviously, he played growing up. He actually played with Marcelo Meyer. They played travel ball together.
Right.
He's played for Team USA a bunch. Like I was mentioning to you before, I knew the name because for Michigan softball, watching Sierra play back in the day. They always showed her kid brother who was, he's like an excellent player. And he was like, 12 years old or something. And so it was one of these kids who you knew early that he was going to be a player. And he's obviously developed into a first round pick. Right. And I think, it was interesting. You saw social media. He seemed very excited to be on the Red Sox. I think he posted a photo of him in a Red Sox uniform from
when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty great.
He was already, tweeting with Meyer and stuff. So,
yep.
Yeah, I think he's going to fit pretty seamlessly with the kind of the organizational off the field stuff they look for and the kind of the makeup they look for. And I mean, it's definitely it's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully, get a look at him sometime, maybe in Structs or something, and kind of start building that base of a more accurate scouting report on him.
All right, and we're doing a live cut right now because we actually took a break because the Red Sox announced media availability for Mikey Romero, which I just joined in on. Nice kid, definitely. It's interesting. So he's actually like legit boys with Marcelo Meyer. Like he described them as best friends and that they played travel ball together for 2 years. We knew they played travel ball together, but he said they talk on a daily basis. Like they're legit buddies. So that was kind of funny. He also said that he's friends with Cutter Coffey. Played against him. Didn't really get into specifics, but said he's a really good kid from a good family. Talented, et cetera. So saying all the right things at least. Played for the Red Sox all through Little League. Like he posted that photo we already talked about. He said he is signing or he would like to sign. So for anyone who's worried about him going to LSU, that doesn't seem to be a problem, unsurprisingly. But of course, I would always say, like, if the Red Sox drafted a guy this early, they think they're going to sign him. But then Judd Fabian happened. So who knows? But he does sound like he wants to sign.
Well, I mean, Judd Fabian was a unique situation, though.
It was. But I'm just saying, like, I would have said that about Fabian last year if they were drafting him at 40.
And speaking of him, he actually he went while we were on our hiatus.
He did. He went
67th. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see what bonus he gets and how it compares to what he reportedly was on the table last year, both from the Red Sox and from the Orioles.
Agreed. And pick 79 is going to happen right now. So we're going to react in real time to pick 79 here.
I couldn't find another high school shortstop in California.
There weren't. I looked. There was another one ranked around where Coffey was.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Not ahead of him, at least on MLB's rankings.
We will find out shortly. And Alex always just confused me because he mentioned Eduardo Rodriguez in the tweet. And I was like, wait a second, there's a pitcher named Eduardo Rodriguez available. And then I realized that it's late and I wasn't being very smart. So we shall see. It's going to be interesting. I can't tell if they're a pick behind on the broadcast. So it'll come out on the draft tracker first. Mm-hmm. It's going to be, I guess, maybe we can just, while we're rating, we can talk about, like, for money wise, Romero, he strikes me as someone who's going to get like close to slot, maybe a little under.
I think a shade under, like he's, I think it's going to be like York, but not
high. It's going to be higher than you would think. But I do think maybe, it's like what is it? The slot's like 2.9, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I guess so as far as where he's ranked, I mean, the high rank was Fangraphs at 37. The low rank was MLB Pipeline at 65.
But I think
it goes had him at 54. Kylie had him at 56. Keith Law had him at 40. PG at 54. I mean,
I think it goes back to what Paul Taboni said and you talked about, that, from about 20 to like 60 in the draft was pretty static.
Mm-hmm.
And so like on their board, he likely, I'm going to guess he was ranked significantly higher than all those other ones. And who knows? I mean, at this point, like, who are we to say, like, I've never seen him play in person. They've seen him,
right.
I'm sure, a bunch. Like, it's it's going to take, months for us to see him. And then it's going to take years before we actually can truly evaluate the pick.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I think it fits the MO of the type of player they like draft, and
they like hit tools.
We'll see what he gets, but yeah, I'm fine with it. We'll see. I would guess probably 2.6, 2.75, probably something like that. Maybe they shave a couple $100K.
What's slot?
3-ish, like 2.98 or something.
It is 2.974. 2.974. So what did you say you think?
2.75, around there.
I think. What did you, like? So York got, for those who are wondering, slot was 3.6 because he was picked at 17 and he went for 2.7. So yeah, I don't think Doty. Sorry, Doty. I'm looking at the tracker. I don't think Romero is going to be that far below slot, but I think he'll be maybe a little below slot. Another high schooler. The Red Sox just took Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School outfielder Roman Anthony.
Roman Anthony. He was linked to them by, who was it? It was either Fangraphs or BA or Kylie. One of them had him going to them with their second round pick, actually.
Yeah, he's ranked 56th overall by MLB at least. So if you're one of these people who's beholden to the rankings, and it's a good transition to that point. There's your rankings pick. Interesting. Very
he's going to be over slot. So there's going to be some money moving around here for sure.
Yep. No question. No question at all. Yeah.
It's just going back to the high school. Well, it's just really interesting to me. And
Ole Miss recruit. So another top college program.
Yeah. It's just interesting to me and it's kind of a trend that I've been noticing is that they seem to be really prioritizing bats in the draft, especially kind of like higher upside guys.
Yep.
For U.S. high schools early in the draft. And then they kind of go safer college bats and college arms later.
Mm-hmm.
And then internationally, they just load up on arms and middle infielders and kind of go from there. And I just think it's interesting. They're kind of just eschewing like high round pitchers now. This is what the fourth straight draft. So this year, obviously they haven't taken a pitcher in their first 3 picks. Last year, the first pitcher they took was Elmer Rodriguez Cruz in the 4th round. The first college pitcher they took was in the 7th round. 2020, the first college pitcher they took was in the 4th round. Obviously, it was a weird draft, so you can't really count that. But then you go back to 2019, and yeah, it's like, you got to wait till the 3rd round. Like they're just not taking college pitchers really anymore in the top couple rounds, and same with high school pitchers. So I do wonder if, kind of what has happened. Or if you go back like the 2017, 2016 couple of years where was it 2015 too? No, so it's 2014, 2016, 2017, and 2013 where they all took high school pitchers in the 1st round. I do wonder if maybe some of the developmental hurdles with some of those guys has kind of pushed them away from that, or if it's just, they think there's more value with the bats. But I do think it's interesting that, that they're prioritizing a lot on high school hitters, especially this year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go to
talk about the second pick now.
The second pick. Yeah. And Cutter Coffey, infielder, looks like he's going to move to 3rd, power bat. Yeah.
He's an interesting one because he's a 2-way guy. He pitches. He was like 90 to 94 off the mound. And I think it was Keith Law who said it that he liked him more on the mound originally, but then I guess he had a really good spring hitting.
Yeah.
But he was ranked. I don't know if you have the rankings up. I think like a little lower.
Yeah. He was. Let's see. Highest ranking was Baseball America had him 65. MLB Pipeline had him 105 as a low rank. So Kylie had him 103. Perfect Game 98. Keith Law 67. So that's where Coffey was ranked. But again, it's pretty static.
Well, I'm
sure for Roman Anthony, he's probably going to have much better rankings than that. And so
but I think though that's kind of what we talked about with, and I don't know, did we mention this on the BA story about, or did we talk about that before we recorded?
On the BA story?
No, the BA story about Coffey from this morning, or the news blurb.
No, I don't think we did.
So
Here
Baseball
yet.
America in their draft buzz thing mentioned that Coffey was seen as a riser, and there were teams that thought he could go around like in the first 40 picks. He ended up going 41st. And they listed like 6 or 7 teams that were interested, including like the Dodgers and stuff. And I think that just shows that, even though his rankings are, what was it, 80 to 100, 120 area, like that's just not how teams viewed him. He was clearly seen as a better talent than that. And the Red Sox kind of weren't going out on an island when they took him at 41. So, yeah, it's a very interesting profile as we're kind of getting into like two-way guys, pretty athletic, plays shortstop, shocker right now. But unlike Romero, who has a decent chance to stick it short or might have to move to second, he seems more likely to have to move to third. But he'll have plenty of arm for there. Obviously, when you're up to 94 off the mound, you could probably throw from third base to first base. But yeah, he and it seems like the glove is actually like potentially pretty good, like potentially impact defender
at third,
which is very interesting. So that gives you, that's going to be nice to have that sort of like carrying ability. And then and he's got raw power, hits the ball hard. It's just going to be a question of, where's the hit tool go? And it seems like there's serious hit tool questions. He's definitely had trouble with fastballs up and also with his pitch recognition. But if he can figure out the hit tool, like that's a really interesting skill set and someone who, potentially that's everyday upside. If you've got the defense, you've got the arm, you've got the power. If you can just figure out the hit tool, then that's definite everyday upside. So I think that's a pretty fun, it's going to be a very interesting pick to follow, but I think that's pretty good value. I mean, if you told me you could get a guy with plus defensive profile in the second round who has a chance to hit and has, at least average raw power, I would say, I think that's perfectly fine and defensible there.
And then talking about Anthony, I've been able to watch some video while you were talking. I like the swing a lot. I'm not going to lie to you. Went to Stoneman Douglas High School in Florida, alma mater of Anthony Rizzo, power bat. Plays center field, but it looks like he might have to move to a corner. Looking at it quickly, I was reading at least MLB's scouting report on him. Trying to pull up the Baseball America scouting report on him.
Yeah, I've got it up actually. He hits the ball really hard. He's got huge raw power. Really good at the NHSI showcase last summer, which is one of the bigger, summer wood bat showcases. Yeah, he seems just like kind of like the outfield, big 6'3", 6'4" frame, left-handed hitter, traditional power profile. And if he can, again, kind of what we were talking about with Coffey, you figure out the hit tool, the power is definitely exciting. And I think this is where, some of the savings, maybe I think they have to go under slot with one of or both of those first 2 picks if this is who they're taking in this round. I just, he was ranked, as you said, he was ranked a little bit higher. He's like 56th on MLB, went 79th. So they definitely know what all those guys are going to get. But I think it's, it's a really interesting kind of inflation of injection is, sorry, that was the word I was looking for, of young talent. A lot of hitting upside. And yeah, it's just a really interesting draft the more I think about it. Like they took high schoolers at 3 different positions that are going to go to the FCL, which is already loaded and has way too many players already. Like it's just,
it wouldn't surprise me to see them go heavy on pitching tomorrow.
I think you're right, but it's just interesting that like the Anthony pick makes a ton of sense. Like they don't have a lot of like the outfield depth in the system. I don't think is as good as in the infield and low minors. I think you would agree with that. Like I'm just trying to picture how they're going to like the infield in the FCL when these guys sign. Like Ravello has to play, Romero will play, obviously Coffey's going to have to play, Lionel James plays. Like they just have a ton of infielders, whereas outfield, I think you can kind of make it work, other than Miguel Blaze, who has to play like.
Well, I mean, they've got a lot of guys that need time, but I think we're getting close to a Blaze promotion to Salem, frankly. I mean, they have to. He's
so good. We'll talk about it on the next episode. Yeah, but the FCL reports on Miguel Blaze. Oof.
Yeah. We should make the point about rankings. Rankings. Look, I tweeted this. If you were to look at the draft boards of all 30 MLB teams, this is not a Red Sox point. This is a general point about every team. Their scouting board is very different from what any national publication has. They all dive after the first half of the first round, roughly, maybe the first 15, 20 picks. They all diverge wildly. There are guys that are going to show up on a lot of them, but there are going to be guys. I mean, the Red Sox are one of very few teams in on Nick York. Now, do I think the pandemic had a lot to do with that? In that case, yes. But, there are guys who are going to go in the second round that other teams are not on at all. And vice versa. The Red Sox aren't going to be on, this isn't just the Red Sox are better than everybody. This is major league teams have full scouting departments to do this. Very few national publications have that, and they rely on scouts to give them information to a large degree as well. So keep that in mind that these are interested parties divulging this information. They're not necessarily going to give everything they have, right? So guys are playing things closer to the chest. There are definitely information asymmetries between the teams and national publications. I'm not saying the national publications do a poor job. They do a terrific job. It is really hard to even get the boards as right as they do. So this is not a knock on them at all, but don't freak out because Cutter Coffey is ranked in the low hundreds by some of the rankers and they took him at 41. That kind of difference is meaningless. If he were unranked, okay, maybe that's something to wonder about, but and like I said, wonder about. That's not even something to get upset about, right? And it's just don't freak over 20, 40, 50 spots in the national rankings versus where a guy got picked. That's kind of meaningless.
Yeah, honestly. I would agree. I just think it's kind of what goes back to what we talked about earlier, where there's, I think at the top, it's pretty obvious when someone's doing something to save money versus taking the best player available.
Sure. No question.
I think that after the first 10 picks or so, it becomes very personal preference-y depending on a team and their scouting department. And their analysts too, you have to factor that into. It becomes the pref lists and how they order guys is going to be very different. And it's in their best interest not to reveal that to other teams, to other, to the media. They want to keep that close to the vest for a reason. And obviously some of it does leak out, certain guys that teams becomes pretty obvious. I will say, looking through just stuff today, both Anthony and Coffey were linked to the Red Sox by BA. And I think ESPN had Anthony going to the Red Sox with their second round pick in their last mock. So clearly they were definitely known to be interested in these guys, but I think that, it's a really good point that, at the end of the day, we're not going to know about these guys for years. We're not going to know about them until we see on the field, and kind of bring it all the way back to our rankings too. Initial rankings for them are going to be a hedge. We just don't know, haven't had a chance to talk to any amateur scouts, haven't yet, because it's midnight in this. I don't understand, by the way.
I need to, I so desperately need to go to bed.
I don't understand why the draft was 7 hours today. It was just do the first round.
They took way too long.
It made no sense to me, but anyway, because the first round was awesome, but just do the first round and call it and then do the rest the next day. But anyway, even it's going to be a hedge for us when we're ranking these guys initially. But once we start to see them in pro ball, that's when we'll start actually getting a clearer picture and be able to kind of develop our own evaluations. And that's going to be far more important to me than what I'm reading right now is, once I'm talking to pro scouts and when I'm seeing them on the field, is going to really inform my opinion more so than, kind of the amateur stuff. Because at the end of the day, we've seen guys not be able to adjust to pro ball. And we've seen guys who maybe were kind of lower regarded, or Nick York, coming out or less highly regarded and then have dominated pro ball and really taken to it. So it's going to be very interesting watching these guys. And I'm just, looking forward to seeing it's three exciting talents added to the system, and ranking high school guys is so hard. So maybe I know people want to know what's your initial, do you have a first impression of where these guys are going to go?
Where they're going to go? I don't get this, and tell me if you agree. First blush, I don't get the sense they're going to be very far apart, these three.
No, I would agree.
I could see them being right next to each other.
Yeah, I think I'll probably have them. I'm going to have Romero first. I think I might have Anthony second and Coffey third, but I don't know. One of the things is I don't obviously, as we said, we don't have a lot of info right now, but I'm interested to see what their bonuses turn out because that'll give you an idea too of how
the team thinks of them. But because the thing is, it's not like you're comparing a college guy and a high school guy.
No.
Where it's not apples to apples. This is going to be apples to apples. They're all going to top college programs.
Exactly. They all have that leverage, and they all were drafted.
I do kind of wonder if Coffey and or Anthony are going to be in that Fabian sort of we need to figure out X, Y, and Z players first to figure out what we can even offer you type situations.
I don't know. looking at the money, like let's say it's all going to depend on Romero. Like if Romero is taking like 2.5, 2.75,
then that's a problem.
Well, no, I think it's not because
not a problem.
I don't think it's a problem at all.
Not a problem. Sorry, I'm. It's late.
Yeah, if he takes like 2.5, and then if Coffey's like 1.8, that's enough to get to Anthony to like 1.6 right there, and then you still have the $500,000 overage. Like you can easily get to $2 million on Anthony.
Is it 500K over?
Yeah, it's like 490 or something is the 5% this year. So like it would be pretty easy for them to get. I mean, just taking the 500K alone, even if they gave those
guys 400K. Looking at our website, looking at our
it's like
page.
It's like 410
410
or whatever. But like just taking that alone, they can get Anthony to like 1.2 right there. And then if you save, 300,000, 200,000 on Romero, there's 1.5. You save 100,000 there. There's 1. Like they can get
the three of them for like in the 1.8 to 2.5 range, and then maybe save.
It's gonna.
Who knows? Maybe the third rounder they go under slot. I don't know. Because they still have a third rounder, which is weird, which in my head doesn't make sense.
No, because I thought this feels like a third round pick. But like I think that, and this is where like maybe in the third round pick, we see them go like college arm or something there, like under slot guy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I don't. I assume if they take all these guys, they plan on signing them. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. And just to wrap it up, I think so. If I was to say initial rankings, are they all top 20?
I'm apparently missing the Taboni availability, but
are they all top 20?
Oh, sure. No question in my mind.
They probably are. They're probably in like the 15-ish range. I don't know. I'll have to think about it more. Maybe we'll break it down further on the next episode so you can go talk to Paul. So,
well, I mean, I'm probably not even going to bother at this point, but maybe I will. All right. Well, maybe I'll hop on that and we'll go from there. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We're going to do a full wrap up on the next episode. So just thanks. And I'm going to go do this and go to bed.